This AFC North Fantasy Football Preview and Best Bets edition of Old Fashioned Football and Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with promo code OFFSGPN and claim your special pick plus a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Macho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old Fashioned Football.
Make this deal right now, you pancake eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome. Wow, technical difficulties and voice difficulties. Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you're listening to, this crazy guy whose voice cracked like I was going through puberty there. This is J Mark. You can find me on the X at J Mark Football, and you can find us on the X at Old Fashioned FB. But who is this us I'm talking about before we talk about the AFC North? Got to bring in my co-host on the pod and in life. You can find her on the X at the Mark. Mur, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a crazy Monday. Drafts have started in the fishbowl.
Yeah, yes.
Really kicking off.
Have you made only one pick so far or two? One. And yours
coming back to me, but
your selection in the Scott Fishbowl was for the 104.
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Which I had flashbacks to our listener league drafting Mahomes, but he was available. So.
That's fair. I went with CJ Stroud at the 106. We're in different divisions, obviously, but that's who was available. And yeah, I took him. And then in the second, it came back to me already. I took Puka Nacua. I really wanted Amon-Ra St. Brown, even though he's a dirty lion, but he went right before that. So it is what it is. And shout out to the chat, Whiskey Wanderer saying, woo, let's go. Always fresh, never soggy. What's up, cereal? Finally can catch a show.
I haven't seen him in a while.
I know. He says, wish you were talking to NFC North, stocked up with some Roshan rookie cards. Well, those are useless since he's useless. Getting reports that your mic sounds weird.
What is going on?
I don't know. We definitely, I know what's going on. You're not plugged in. We're professionals over here.
Whose job is this? Whose job is to plug in the mics? Have I ever plugged in my own mic?
No, that was mine.
What came unplugged there?
That was something falling. That was me. That was my fault. I just moved from upstairs. I was downstairs because we had our niece and nephew. They slept in this room, so I did the CFL one downstairs. And yeah. So, anyways. Sorry about that, everybody. Now you should be able to hear Miranda.
Can someone confirm? Because I don't know if I trust my husband.
You've been confirmed. Okay. You didn't miss much. She took Mahomes. She had flashbacks to our auction league.
Yeah, Scott Fishbowl has kicked off drafting, and yeah, I'm about to come up on my second pick. I haven't checked. Somebody's taking. I'm not gonna.
It's a slow draft.
It is a slow draft.
So
it's been 4 hours since the last pick. There, I said
it. I have somebody that same way, but he
it's
did.
Okay.
He did message. Working. Yeah, I was gonna say he messaged ahead of time saying he did not have access to his phone for work or during work, but he would try to sneak out and make the picks as it came. This is our 7th of 8th division previews, and we're talking AFC North.
Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns.
Yeah, the Browns, the toilet bowl. And we're gonna bust through this because we got a CFL, or I got a CFL gambling podcast to hop onto right after this. Yeah, check out me and the Colby Dant on CFL Gambling Pod. But first, what are we drinking today?
Well, before well, what and not before, but what we're drinking, you really confused me. I just plopped in here.
Plop.
Plopped. I
Reminds me of Office. Your nickname's gonna be Plop. Anyways,
I just got in here right as you click going live. Worked a little later than I intended, and you have these glasses stacked on top of our old fashions, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me what I was looking at for a minute.
it's our tasting glasses.
Yeah, but it looked like, do we have some smoked drink here or something? And I was like, where did you get these lids? I was really confused.
I was just keeping I was running around, I was keeping these debris free whilst getting everything set up. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what it was. Hey, this is Old Fashioned Football, but Sports Gambling Podcast Network has a ton of shows, and right now Moon Off the Machine, Manja, and Chris are getting you ready for the NFL season on the Propcast. They got episodes dedicated to season-long props and the awards market. Plus, check out CJ Sullivan and his road to $10 million on the Bottom Line Bombs, especially if you want some funny stuff. And tune in whenever you get your podcasts, or you can do it on the SGPN app. So, let's get ready to jump right into this and start with the quarterbacks. The most important position in football is what some say. There are rumors that they're going to start a separate cap just for quarterbacks. Now, they already get paid millions and millions of dollars. Yes, more than they need to. But yeah, we'll see if that happens or not, I guess.
All right. Well, let's get what?
Real quick, just I want to say hi to the chat because I'm falling behind. So mom and dad popping
chat is
in.
Hopping.
Nick says, "What's up, cereal?" Also, he said hello to us. He spelled my name wrong, but anyways. And then Hunter making his first live show. What's going on, Hunter? Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
All right, let's jump into these quarterbacks.
Let's do. I'm just gonna give you the data, then we're gonna talk about them.
Let's do it.
Let me give you the stats. We've got Joe Burrow for the Bengals. He averaged 15.3 points a game last season with one top 5 finish. He's currently going at an ADP of QB7 with an AAV of $9. For those of you just hearing us, AAV, average auction value, ADP, average draft position. Last year, he came in at QB 25, but that's missing 7 games.
Yeah.
Then we've got Lamar Jackson in this division, who brought in 21.1 points per game, 6 top 5 finishes. He's currently going at an ADP of QB4 with an AAV of $17. And last year, he came in at QB4. He's going exactly where he was.
In your Scott Fishbowl draft, was he was gone? Mm-hmm. Was he gone? Yeah, he was in mine as well.
He was a 3rd pick.
Yeah, he was 4th in mine. CMC went 2nd. So I know we were looking at like who we had picked, and the quarterbacks went in the same order: Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. Mine just had Christian McCaffrey thrown in there. But anyways, continue.
All right. And then we've got Deshaun Watson, who averaged 15.1 points a game for fantasy points last season with one top 5 finish. His current ADP is QB 21 with an AAV of $2. And last year he came in at QB 35, missing 11 games. I mean, he was out pretty much the whole season.
Yeah.
Then we've also got, this is the interesting team here, and I'm interested to see what happens with this team. But we've got Russell Wilson, who has been stated to be the QB1 for the Steelers. They've also got Justin Fields, QB2, and I just can't see him being a backup for too long. Speaking of him, I saw some post, maybe it was on Twitter, I don't know, or
he was shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Fields has obviously been in the weight room.
Yes, he has. So Russell Wilson averaged 17.9 points a game last season, and Fields was averaging 18.4. So we want Fields at that productivity level.
Right.
Even better. I think he has the potential to do better than that, starting for these Steelers, in my opinion. But Russell Wilson had one top 5 finish. Fields had 5 top 5 finishes last season. Russell Wilson's going at an ADP of QB 28, while Fields is going around QB 30, both going for an AAV of $1. And last year, Wilson was QB 14 and Fields came in at QB 18, missed 5 games.
So. Yeah. And Wilson was benched for the last 2 games of the season. So let's flash back to Burrow.
Yeah.
Who's coming back from injury.
He has been very good. Like you mentioned the injury when he's healthy.
Right. That's been the biggest issue.
I think it is he going to stay healthy? And I think if you're drafting him at his current ADP of QB7, you need him to stay healthy.
Right.
But that's just a big question. Is he going to be?
Yeah.
So are you staying away from him? What are you doing there?
I think I am. I just don't trust his health. I don't right now. Now, the $9 is a little more interesting to me than the QB7 because if you get into that $7 or $9 range, I don't mind taking a risk there because I can make value up other places. But taking him as QB7, in the end of this month and going into next, we'll be doing our top 12 lists. He is not that high on my list. I'll just throw that out now.
I have to agree. All right. So going back to like Lamar Jackson, he didn't get much as far as upgrades in the passing game. However, I don't know if that matters. He's got such a high ceiling when it comes to like his rushing floor.
And he's never had like a huge I guess fantasy output wide receiver, an alpha wide receiver, minus his tight end Mark Andrews, who is still there. So yeah, I don't think it matters either.
But a question I have here though is like they brought in Derrick Henry. So is having Derrick Henry in the backfield going to lead to more Lamar runs or less? Like, do you think that's going to take away? I either think it's going to hurt Derrick Henry's like fantasy value, or it's something. I don't know. What do you see there?
I actually think it helps both of them a little bit. Now, one of them is going to have more rushing touchdowns. One of them is going to, and I think that'll be Derrick Henry. But with Derrick Henry being the beast that he is, even though he is a little older now, I do think that opens it up for Lamar more to kind of do your RPOs where he fakes a handoff to Derrick Henry and then he takes off or he throws it. And I think it really opens the offense more because, and nothing against Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, the revolution or the revolving door, of running backs they've had. But I think Derrick Henry deserves more respect from the defense than those guys have. And so I think it might open that offense up more. If I can get him at QB4, I will. I would have drafted him if he was available in the Scott Fishbowl. He wasn't. Just because that rushing floor, it's so good. The floor is so high. So the chat saying Serial does not trust the health of Joe Burrow.
It's too risky in my opinion.
Agreed. Nick Fortune says Derrick Henry anytime touchdown seems like a lock every game. And Serial also says in Lamar Jackson, we trust. Let's talk about a guy that I don't trust.
Deshaun?
Yes, let's move to Deshaun.
This is not the same Deshaun Watson who played for the Texans.
Yeah, not even close.
No. He can't perform at the same level after that trade and the suspension, everything going on with him.
Too much drama.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable taking him at I don't know. So like that's kind of you're looking in if you're in a super flex league, that's your QB2.
Right. And I guess that's okay if you have to get him in a super flex. But for me personally, I'm avoiding him at all costs. I don't trust Deshaun Watson. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets benched eventually because I think he's that bad. I think he's fallen that far off from what he was. It was crazy. In the Texans, he looked so good. And then the trade happens, the suspension with all the drama and the accusations and everything. And he just doesn't look like the same quarterback anymore, in my opinion. I don't know. It was an interesting thing. We have a guest on Thursday, Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Those guys are going to be joining us. And I was listening to their take on Deshaun Watson, and they're kind of the same thing. Like, he was so good, but now you just can't trust him anymore.
No. Now let's talk about the Steelers situation with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I know that they've said Russell Wilson is like their starter,
They're
but how long do you think that's going to last? Or do you think that Russell Wilson is going to do better on the Steelers than he did for the Broncos?
I mean, if you look at everybody shat on him last year and he still finished QB 14 in fantasy football.
I know.
So he wasn't as bad as it looked. But I mean, Fields kind of has the same skill set but he's faster and he moves.
He's more
much
ripped
better.
this year.
He's more ripped. Mer's got that screenshotted. She's been looking at that one. I think Fields ends up being the guy, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be game 1, game 2,
but
game
eventually,
3.
like, you have to think he's gonna take that.
Yeah,
I think anyway. And maybe I'm just biased as a Bears fan. I really had high hopes for Justin Fields.
sure. Yeah.
I've said it way too many times. I'm a broken record at this point, but we were not using him to his ability, his rushing ability. We just weren't using him right. And do you think the Steelers are going to use him right?
Yes, I do. I think
Do you
Mike
think
Tomlin,
he'll fit better in that offense?
I do. I think Mike Tomlin is an excellent coach. I mean, obviously, he's not had a losing season in a decade. And I don't think he's going to now. And I think he's going to be able to get the most out of Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, no matter who is starting, I guess. I'm comfortable drafting both of these guys.
I was just going to ask you, what do you do? Like, for $1
right
in auction drafts, like, do you just pick them both up for $1? And then you've got both, and whatever happens, you're covered. I think I would be nervous just to take Wilson.
Right. Yeah, I think you want both, because I do think, like I said, I think Wilson gets replaced eventually. But yeah, they got George Pick. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I either want both or I just want Fields.
Yeah, in case he ends up
sit him on your bench for a little bit, in my opinion, and then I think eventually he's gonna be relevant on that team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they got George Pickens, who's a dog. They drafted Roman Wilson. Pat Freiermuth, still a very good tight end in my opinion, very reliable. They revamped the offensive line. Najee Harris and Jalen Warner there out of the backfield. I mean, I think this offense could surprise people. Now, I also felt that way last year, and I thought Kenny Pickett was going to take a step forward, and he made me look like an ass. So maybe that's just wishful thinking. I'm not sure, but real quick, best quarterback and best value.
Best quarterback, hands down, Lamar Jackson.
Agreed. He's the best option here. Yeah. Best value.
I think. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to talk over you.
No, go ahead. Who's your best value?
I think for value, getting Wilson and Fields for $1.
Yeah,
is a really good value, but I like not as like this is who I'm relying on as my QB1.
That makes sense. I'm gonna go Joe Burrow at 9.
Joe Burrow at 9.
Not at QB7. I'm not talking ADP, but best value
$9.
AAV.
I just don't know if I want to spend.
I think if he's healthy, he is one of the best quarterbacks.
You're just gambling on it.
I'm a gambler. You know that. Let's talk about something that I am going with that.
Okay.
We released a video today where I said, life's a gamble. Do you want a sure thing? Well, a sure thing is having a fun time on Underdog Fantasy. So why don't you tell people about Underdog Fantasy?
Yeah, we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, and Pick 8 is now live for the NHL Finals, CFL, and more. You can create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry back. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. And the best part is that you can win up to 325 times your original amount. That's right. You can use specials and boosts on all flex entries. And make sure to follow our socials for Justin's weekly CFL picks on Underdog. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone.
Just sign up using promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN. All right. Should we talk about running backs?
Yes.
Did I ask you what we're drinking today?
Yeah, you did.
I did?
Oh, wait, but I didn't answer.
You never answered.
You asked me.
And you just ignored me. Just sat there saying, I'm not telling.
We are drinking Heaven Hill Bottled in Bonds.
Mm-hmm. I believe you found it at Costco. We haven't talked about Costco for a while.
We haven't talked about Costco for a while.
You were there and you brought it home one day for me, which I'm always thankful for new bourbon. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's good in the old fashioned.
It's good. You made a good old fashioned. Did you make it regularly?
I did,
like a regular way.
I did my normal.
Nothing crazy in it.
No, nothing crazy.
You didn't drop a cherry this time, did you?
Only yours. Just
up.
Kidding. No, I didn't drop a cherry. Also, real quick before we talk about running backs, I got to let you know that we're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Almost forgot about them. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no rake. we need to get to the Circa still.
Mhm.
Circa Millions, pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. And we even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. If you don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football starts, don't worry. The Ultimate Contest weekend is a great time to go out. Hang out with Ryan and Sean. You've probably heard of those guys. And enjoy some of the open bar events. I love an open bar at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through the 24th. All right. Let's talk about these running backs now. We needed to shout out to the Circa.
Of course.
Which we need to get to.
Yes.
The stadium swim, the giant TVs, all the sports, an open bar. Oh, talk about love. Anyways.
I've got nothing for you, Justin. I just can't.
You'd enjoy it as well. This running back division is interesting to me for a couple different reasons. The first one, Zach Moss, who was a Colt, now is a Bengal. No more Joe Mixon, which is weird to me.
It is.
But yeah, let's talk about Zach Moss a little bit.
Yeah, he brought in 11.2 points per game last season with one top 5 finish. His current ADP is RB25 with an AAV of $14. Last year, he came in at RB29, so he's moved up 4 spots. But again, last year, he played most of the season behind Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor was out the first 4 weeks and had some injuries here and there, but it's weird to me. He only went up 4 spots from where he finished to his ADP now that he's going to be the starter.
Mm-hmm. This one is, yeah. And they also, the Bengals have their rookie from last year.
Yeah.
Chase Brown,
who I'm a big fan of. But reports are still saying Moss will be the lead back. But let's just talk about this right now. I think $14 is a good deal, and I like him at RB25. I would draft him higher than that. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think his AAV I really like.
Yeah. $14 for a starting running back is a really good deal. I mean, this is a guy, he did have a top 5 finish. His top 5 finish was actually the first week that Jonathan Taylor was back. So, I mean, this is a guy that can have success even when he is competing with others for carries. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on him.
We've also got Derrick Henry, who we already briefly talked about, but last season he brought in 13.7 points a game with 4 top 5 finishes. He's currently going at an ADP of RB10 with an AAV of $36. Last year he was RB8. And this is the best offense he's been on.
I agree. I mean, the best fit for him for sure, because they love to run the ball.
Yes. And yeah, the Ravens are definitely a run heavy team. And the only thing is teams are going to have to account for Lamar too.
Yeah. Yep. And that should help Henry. I also think,
I know it should, because kind of what you said, but I still kind of,
you worry about them cutting into each other's workload kind of,
because the Ravens previously, let's just say it, Lamar was their RB1 and their QB,
right?
You know what I mean?
True, that's true. I think Henry's a better caliber guy than what they've had there. I think, and they paid him a decent amount for an older back that I think they want to use him, and they don't care if they run him to death this year, because the deal was 2 years, I believe, but most of it was front loaded. So that's going to be interesting. And their rookie from last year, Keaton Mitchell, not going to be ready for training camp. So if he's not ready at the start of the season, then Henry really doesn't have a lot of comp.
It'll just be him
and Lamar, like you said. What do you feel? I mean, we talked last year. He was at $50 last year, I believe, as an AAV. And we said this is the last year he will be $50. And we were correct.
He's currently going for $36. He's on a better offense. I think is
that too much for you? I'm looking up his age real quick.
Yeah, we want to know, how old is he? He seems like he's been around forever, but how old is he?
Well,
you're not quick enough for me.
And then RB10.
That's what I'm not sure on.
You're not sure at RB10? I like him at RB10 personally. It's not me that's not quick. It's my phone, apparently. Going a little slow here. He's 30.
See, that's pushing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
For somebody who has been run so hard.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. But I still like it. I think he's going to have a really good year.
We'll see. He's going to have a good year. Like, okay, top 12. Top 12.
Top 12, but not top. You wouldn't take him at 10.
So
he might fall to 11 to 12 in yours.
But
what about the AAV 36?
I like it. I do think I like that.
Especially in a standard league. This is a guy that in a standard league where you kind of chase touchdowns, I think you go after Derrick Henry for sure. I know not a lot of leagues are standard scoring anymore. PPR, half PPR is where it's at. But in a standard league, I think Henry for sure is going to do well.
Let's talk about Najee Harris. He averaged 10.6 points a game last season. Didn't have any top 5 finishes. His ADP is what he came in at RB last year, RB20, with an AAV of $15. This is this offensive line, it's had improvements. Najee is still the lead guy, but they do have Jaylen Warren.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they added some big beefy guys on that front line. Like, I think Tomlin wants to run the ball, which is also why I think Fields fits better.
Exactly. That's my thing.
Yeah. Here's what's tough for me. I have drafted Najee Harris highly the past 2 years, and it's bit me in the ass. So it's hard for me to want to draft him again, but RB20, I like it. I think he finishes better than last year. I think the Steelers in general do better. I think they're going to have more competent quarterback play no matter who's starting. And yeah, and then for $15, I'm okay taking that risk.
And this is another one where the price point is okay for me. Seeing him as like your RB2, you're going to have him as your RB2?
Yeah.
10.6 points a game.
That's
decent
I guess as an RB2.
Decent. It is. I like to see more, but I guess it is.
Well, we all do, but if I had $1 every time she'd told me that. Shout out to the chat. Mike checking in saying Vikings rule. Vikings the only team with purple that will win this year's Super Bowl. Skull, I go hard. Go Bears, Mike. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for checking into the chat. Welcome. And if Najee splits carries, always fresh, never soggy. Serial says he might have to sell his Najee rookie card. So there you go.
I want to talk about Jaylen Warren here too, because he's not going far off of that RB20. He's currently going at RB26. So Najee Harris brought in that around 10.5 points a game last season. Jaylen Warren was almost 10 points a game, 9.8. Yeah. And he had a top 5 finish where Najee didn't.
True.
And his AAV is only $11.
I think I'll have to look it up, but I think his top 5 finish was when Najee Harris was out. So there is that.
Okay.
But I'm okay getting him too. If I miss out on Najee Harris, spending a little less money, waiting a little longer to draft a running back. I mean, even at a flex piece, RB26 would be a flex in a 12-team league. 9.8 a game for a flex piece. I'm okay with that. I think Najee ends up taking it back, though. I think he has the bulk of the carries. That's just my opinion this year.
There's a lot. Well, I just wanted to talk about this again because you've got them where they're pretty close there, you know. And you have, if Fields does take the starting position, you've got another runner.
Yeah. No, I agreed. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Fields could take some of that production from them for sure. 71 people watching. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, like, follow, all that good stuff. It helps us out. Let's talk about this last running back.
Chubb. Nick Chubb.
Which is confusing. Not that a Chubb is confusing, but
I'm like, where are you going?
Yeah, no. Just what I know he got injured last year. Bad injury. there's not really been much injury news. It's been weird. It's almost like they're keeping it secret.
Yeah, because he had an ACL tear.
Yeah, which makes me wonder. This is the second time he's torn that same leg too, I believe. So
That's awful.
Yeah. Will he bounce back and be the same running back?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. But is he still a very talented dude? Yeah. So I don't know. Why don't we go through? I mean, there's not much to say about his last year. He had 2 games. He tore it in the second game.
And I also give you the average because I have the stats with those 2 games, even though he tore it in that second, 10.6 points a game. But right now he's going at an ADP of RB39 with an AAV of $13.
That tells me they don't think he'll be ready to start the season, and Jerome Ford will be.
Or that tells me people are hesitant about it. That tells me people are wary of him.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't know.
Now, in my opinion, he's still pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very talented guy. Even if he's on the short-term IR and he doesn't play till, let's say, week 5, week 6, it's huge value if he comes back and is still a pretty good runner, not very much affected by.
So you're going to draft him for potential for later.
Yeah.
As long as they don't play him right away and ruin it for everybody.
At RB39 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've picked him up in a ton of best ball drafts because he's
targeting
there so late.
on those. So in those drafts, are you targeting Jerome Ford too?
No, I haven't. I've just picked Chubb up thinking, you know what, when he comes back, he's going to be good. That's kind of been my thought. He's gone so late in best ball drafts. He'll probably go late in the Scott Fishbowl draft. So let's watch for that.
Yeah. And Jerome Ford, just to bring him up, he's currently going at an ADP of RB36. I got on Jerome Ford wagon for
I told you
a moment and hopped right off.
Right.
I didn't like the inconsistency from him. So I'm hoping then that Chubb is healthy and like you said, maybe the short-term IR and then hits the field and is solid.
I remember that. He was all the rave because they're like, well, Chubb went down and he had 100 and some yards. Well, he had 13 carries for, I think, 100 some yards, but 87 yards of that was one run.
I know.
He averaged 2.6.
I know it. And so
the rest of the carries.
It looked impressive and it was exciting.
But without a big play, he wasn't consistent enough. All right. Best running back. I'm going to lead if you don't mind. I'm going to say Derrick Henry. I don't think you can put anybody else in this.
Well, I have some, I don't know if it's hesitancy. I agree with you. There's no hesitancy over the best running back.
Is he the best value? Maybe not. But is he the best running back when you stack him up against these guys? Yes. What about
to get a top 12 running back for $36 and you're looking at spending I guess about half of that if you go into the RB2 range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm still doing it.
Mm-hmm. No, I am. I'm debating value here.
Yeah.
Who's the best value? Who do you see as the best value?
Best value.
I thought we had moved on.
So I didn't realize. I like Zach Moss. $14, RB25 at a guy that's going to get a crack at the starting job on a good Bengals offense.
But you could get currently RB26 for 11 with Warren.
I trust Zach Moss to do better than Jalen Warren.
And I do think there's too many runners on that Steelers team right now. If
are you saying Russell Wilson can't run?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just point blank. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. That's fair. Before we talk about wide receivers, I want to let you know about Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning the algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Rhythm pairs his predictions with player prop graphs to help you feel even more confident in your picks. I know I love a good graph for my picks, which you can make wherever you normally place your bets or DFS picks. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data, without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook. Rhythm also allows you to create your own custom models so you can get AI-backed moneyline spread and total picks for every playoff game. Start a 7-day free trial and start winning your player props with Rhythm, available wherever you get your apps. All right.
So Russell Wilson can run. He just has been declining there.
Well, he is getting a little old.
I know. Just wanted to clarify. I was like, oh, I said no, and that's going to come back to bite me. Somebody's going to
call you out.
Somebody is. So I'll call myself out.
That's fair. That's fair. Call yourself out. Let's talk about the wide receivers. You want me to start? You want to start?
I'll start. Let's start with Jamar Chase.
All right.
He averaged 13.3 points a game last season, had one top 5 finish. He's currently going at an ADP of wide receiver 3. Last year, he came in at wide receiver 13, and his current AAV is $42.
This is a guy that,
yeah,
to me, if
Burrow,
if you don't think Burrow can stay healthy, you stay away from Chase, right?
Yeah, because I feel like his success it's dependent on that. He's still one of the top wide receivers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Burrow get injured last year, and Chase went from being a top 5 guy to wide receiver 13.
Yeah.
That's still good, but do you want to spend $42 for that?
No. And he's not my wide receiver 3 either.
Mm-hmm.
Is he in the top 10? Yes. But is he top 3? No. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
What about you?
I agree with you. Maybe top 12.
Mm-hmm.
Not my third.
Top 3.
No, there's too much. There's a lot of risk there. There's going to be risk everywhere.
Yeah.
In fantasy football, there just is. But we did see, we saw his success is tied to Burrow's health.
Yeah, for sure. And Mr. Fortune checking in saying he wouldn't spend $42 on Chase.
That price point is way too high for me.
Yeah.
Without a sure thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Third spot.
I agree. Let's talk about his counterpart, the guy on the other side.
T. Higgins,
who I thought was going to be not a Bengal. He didn't want to sign his franchise tag. He requested a trade. Now he did say he will play on the tag, but we'll see.
Yeah, he averaged 9.7 points a game last season with one top 5 finish. Currently going at that wide receiver 29 spot with an AAV of $18. And last year he missed 5 games. So because of that, he came in at wide receiver 49. And like you said, we kind of thought he was going to hold out. Yeah. This is very discounted compared to Chase. Should he be?
I mean, you're looking at less than 4 points a game. So obviously Chase is scoring more, but 4 points a game. They both had the same amount of top 5 finishes with having the same, Jake Browning was throwing to them after Burrow went down. I think I'd rather spend the 18 on T. Higgins than spend 42 on Jamar Chase. I think I'd rather take that risk, take him as the second or even third. He's going wide receiver 29. That's your third wide receiver. I feel very comfortable having him as my third
I like
wide receiver.
that. I like that area. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he's my third wide receiver, I'm very happy with it.
I can get behind that.
18 is a little too high for you think, or
no? I don't think it is.
Okay, you seemed hesitant at first.
I'm just
so I wasn't
hesitant.
Sure. Yeah, let's move on to the Ravens.
We've got Zay Flowers averaging 10.5 points a game with one top 5 finish. His current ADP right now is wide receiver 25 with an AAV of $18. And last year he came in at that wide receiver 29 spot. We talked about Derrick Henry. I don't think you can talk about the Ravens now without talking about Derrick Henry.
No, he's going to change their identity a little bit.
This team has improved the run game by adding Derrick, which should in turn kind of open up the pass game. When I think of the Ravens, I don't think of a
pass happy offense.
I don't.
Every year they say, "Oh, Lamar's going to throw it more," and we're like, "No, he's not," and he doesn't.
Yes. So, but Zay Flowers, he did have a decent year last year.
Yeah,
and
he looks.
I think it's possible he continues to build on that and get better.
Yeah, going up 4 spots to wide receiver 25 from where he finished last year. I'm fine taking him there. That's the high end of your wide receiver 3. So yeah, I'm definitely fine with that. This division is interesting. We got wide receiver for ADP this year, 29, 25, 27, and 26. So we got a lot of mediocre, I guess. I would put that wide receivers, people they think are going to be mediocre.
What do you think about wide receiver 25? Like, do you see him?
I'm good with him there.
Is that too high for him?
I don't think it's too high. I think I would rather spend $18 on T. Higgins.
That's what I was going to ask you, because they're the same AAV right now.
Right. I think I'm fine drafting either of these guys as my third wide receiver, which would be wide receiver 25 and on. But I would rather spend $18 on T. Higgins than Zay Flowers. You're on the fence?
I'm on the fence.
Yeah. Make a decision right now.
I think I'm on the fence.
All right, she refuses to make a decision.
If Zay Flowers really could finish there, I would rather take him.
Yeah.
That's the better value.
Yeah, no, I guess that makes sense. $18 for ADP wide receiver 25 or wide receiver 29. Or this next guy, $18 for ADP of wide receiver 27.
George Pickens.
Who
finished around pretty much same average as Zay Flowers, 0.1 point less average per game at 10.4. He had 2 top 5 finishes. Finishes wide receiver 26. He's going at an ADP of wide receiver 27 with an AAV of 18.
By the way, Nick is on to you. He says you're not giving out your true opinion on T. Higgins because you want him on your team.
You know what?
I do have a lot of people in our leagues.
I know, and I don't like it because I, being the only female in most of our leagues, in all of our leagues.
Yeah, in all of them.
Because we haven't done the fun league in a while.
We need to bring the fun league.
We do
back,
our college league.
But yeah, you get very good. I don't want them to think I'm a dumb girl.
No, what I was going to say is that I get picked on.
Yeah.
I get bit up
for being a dumb girl. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. You were sleeping on the couch.
I knew that was coming. Yeah. I will choose a recliner instead. No.
No. Recliner's going outside. So if you want to sleep in that, you can sleep outside. I don't like to. Yes, because I know that he's on listening. Anything I say I want, he's going to go. So I can't give out the wrong advice, though. I won't do it.
So George Pickens, though, alpha receiver. He's got Wilson or Fields throwing to him, which I think people are a little worried about. But he had Kenny Pickett last year. I mean, it's got to be better than Kenny Pickett.
He has an upgrade.
Yeah.
Either way, it's an upgrade from where he was last year.
Right. No, I'm fine drafting him at wide receiver 27, and also I'd spend the 18 on him. If I had to rank these three $18 guys,
Zay Flowers, George Pickens, and T. Higgins, who are you taking over? Who you're taking 1, 2, and 3?
Pickens, Higgins, Flowers. Because I got a wide receiver 1 in Pickens. I got T. Higgins, who I think has a better passing offense than Zay Flowers.
You've got
then Flowers, who they're a run-first offense, and he competes with Mark Andrews for targets. So, so yeah.
I know Mark Andrews is really.
That's the Ravens pass catcher you want.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I don't want to agree with you.
Don't change it up.
I'm kind of T. Higgins and Zay Flowers. I'm kind of in between.
Okay.
But I think I would take Pickens over both.
Yeah.
There's more potential upside there.
Yeah. They also drafted Roman Wilson, who he's going for $1. That to me is a name to watch. For just $1.
Take a flyer on him.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to throw it to more people than just George Pickens. And I think that guy's gonna be Roman Wilson. Let's talk about Cleveland. Who Deshaun Watson throw
Cooper.
To? Yeah. Amari Cooper.
Ew, stop it.
The Browns.
Okay. Averaging 12.7 points a game with 1 top 5 finish. I just can't do this with you. He's going for a current ADP of wide receiver 26. Look at 25, 26, 27, 29.
And another $18.
$18. Apparently this is just a
he's
sweet
last
spot for
on
18.
my list.
Yeah. Last year though, he finished as wide receiver 18 last year. And again, this is another wide receiver whose success is dependent on his quarterback. So I think his success is dependent on Watson's. It's interesting to me that he finished wide receiver 18 last year, and now he's going as wide receiver 26.
Yeah.
Like that says a lot. Like he went back almost 10 spots.
Yeah. I think people are losing faith.
And it's not because they have Jerry Jeudy.
No. I don't think that's why either. I think people are just losing faith in the Browns, and they're losing faith in Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. He can't stay healthy, and when he's on the field, he's not very good. That's what I think it is. Cooper's last on my list of $18. So Pickens, Higgins, Flowers, Cooper.
Mm-hmm. Pickens, Flowers, Higgins, Cooper.
Pickens, Flowers, Higgins, Cooper for you. She made a decision. Serial pointing out that Cooper was Watson's boy. I agree, but I just think that Watson's at a stage where he's so inconsistent that I don't trust his receivers either. Mm-hmm. So best, got to be Jamar Chase. I mean,
yeah. Even though like we see that success tied to Burrow, it's clear none of these other wide receivers are top 12.
Right. And he was still wide receiver 13 after missing a game and having no Burrow. So still good, just not as good as when Burrow is there. Remember, they are college teammates or were college teammates. Value. Who you like? I mean, it's $18 guys to choose
So it's got to be Pickens.
I agree. I agree. Unless I know we didn't talk about Roman Wilson, but him for $1, I kind of like that.
He's a flyer. That's get him for $1, but value.
Yeah.
At where you're starting these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You're gonna talk about these guys. Go ahead and go through the tight ends while I pour this. We're moving along here.
All right. We are like, let's pick it up. All right. Tight ends, Mark Andrews. Got to talk about who I feel is the top here. I'm just going to say that already.
Too many bottles on your shelves, so you grab the wrong one.
Well, let's make sure we're reviewing the correct one, Justin. We can't have two fails.
I thought it was open.
But Mark Andrews finished as tight end 13 last year, but he missed 7 games. He averaged 11.3 points a game with 3 top 5 finishes for the games he was here. His current ADP is tight end 4 with an AAV of $26. With Mark Andrews, I mean, they have Isaiah Likely, but he is still a top contributor. We just said a little bit ago, he's really like their wide receiver 1. Like he's their target. He is Jackson's go-to.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it speaks volume, the fact that he missed 7 games and so was tight end 13.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how good he is. 11.3 a game. There were only 4 other tight ends that scored higher than 11.3 a game. Laporta, Travis Kelce, Trey McBride. I'm blanking on the other one. But Mark Andrews is a stud.
He is.
But
do you see him at tight end 4? Because I don't know if I do, because
I don't
it's getting a little, I wouldn't say it's getting crowded at the top. There's still only like 4 or 5 top tight ends. And I don't know if he's there, because you've got like Laporta, you've got Kelce, I still think Hawkinson deserves to be up there.
Once he's on the field, because he is going to miss the first at least 6 or 7 games. But no, I agree. Mark Andrews is not my tight end 4, and $26 is too much for him, even though I do think he's very good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a league that you can keep 3 players, and I could keep Mark Andrews as my 7th rounder, or I could keep Sam Laporta as my 13th rounder. Guess which one I'm doing?
You're keeping Laporta.
Keeping Laporta.
Good decision.
RD did poke a little fun at me for you're going to be the first person that keeps 2 tight ends in our league. And I thought about it, because you can start a tight end in the flex spot. But I think Mark Andrews, even in that 7th round, is too high right now. Actually, no, it was 6th round. That's just too high for me right now. Nick asking if there's any concern about Likely. No, I think they're going to continue to run some 2 tight end sets. I think Likely will get.
But he's not going to finish
volume,
he's not going to be tight end 4 or 5 or 6.
Well, he's not going to eat too much into the workload.
No.
Yeah.
We're talking about you have to invest in the top tight end.
But Mark Andrews is not in your top.
Not the top like targets, but
tier 1 guys. He's in tier 2.
Yeah.
I think
2 or 3.
Yeah, he's in my tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
Probably towards the bottom of it.
Bottom
but he's
of the
in
second tier.
Yeah.
Yep. Njoku
Mhm.
is going for, sorry. David Njoku. I've moved on.
I noticed. That's all right.
Is going currently with an ADP of tight end 10 for $17.
I poured the whiskey and now she's like, I'm just ready to get to the whiskey.
He averaged 10 points a game last season, coming in at tight end 6. He had 4 top 5 finishes, all in weeks 14 through 17. So he had a strong end of season.
Mhm.
He is somebody who is not as affected when Watson went out. Watson whiskey.
Yeah, no, I agree. So he finished tight end 6. He had top 5 finishes in 4 weeks, all weeks 4, or it was all in weeks 14 through 17. So it was all together where he was on this hot streak. But tight end 10 makes me feel like he's maybe a little undervalued and underrated right now.
Potentially.
I mean, I think he's definitely a top 10 tight end because we did see that he was a little bit quarterback proof, right? No matter who was there, he still did 10 points a game. I don't view him as 10th. I think he's top 10, but I don't put him at 10. I put him a little bit higher. So I think at tight end 10, he's a little undervalued. Now, I normally do not say good things about David Njoku or any Browns players. I'm normally out on them, but I think I'm okay drafting him at tight end 8, tight end 9,
possibly. Now, we don't really need to. I don't feel like I really need to bring stats for Gesicki.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, Serial point out those are games with Joe fucking Flacco. They sure were. Which I mean, yeah, he made the tight end look good.
There you go.
They no longer
How did
have
I not
Joe
put that
fucking
together?
Flacco,
Yeah,
but yeah, that they were when
that's really those 4 weeks are what boosted his tight end ranking.
True. Yeah, that had a lot to do with it. He still averaged 10 a game, but I know he had some really high.
Those games make his average go higher.
Yeah.
What do you think an average is?
Get out of here. Let's move on.
Why don't we remove Joe Flacco since he is irrelevant to this offense this year, and let's look at his stats then.
What do you think an average is? Pals. I agree Mike Gesicki's irrelevant. I don't know if
Freiermuth?
Yeah, we don't need to dive into that, but because I mean you're not drafting Freiermuth as a starting tight
he's
end.
Currently going at tight end 15 with an AAV of $4. And I would not pay $4 for him.
He's a dollar guy, in my opinion. I'd pay $1 for a backup tight end for Pat Freiermuth. I would not want him to be in my my top 12 tight ends.
No, absolutely not.
But at tight end 15, I'm okay with it. I would draft him at, if I'm looking for a backup tight end and 14 others are off the board, I'm perfectly happy with Pat Freiermuth. But yeah, I don't think we need to dive into him too much.
I agree.
Just that I think overvalued in auction, but valued properly in standard.
Yes. I think the tight ends you're really looking at here are Mark Andrews and Njoku.
Yeah.
Who I would take Andrews over.
I would take Mark Andrews as top, but Njoku is the value.
I disagree.
Andrews is your value as well?
If I have to get Mark Andrews, I'm going to pay money.
All right. That's fair.
Like if all my other options are done, I'm paying money.
So if the top 3 guys are gone, you're paying for Andrews.
Top 4.
Top 4. TBD on who her top 4 are. That's it for the fantasy football. Let's talk a little whiskey, and then we'll talk some a lock and a dog for this division. Now we're going to do it a little different, where I'm going to talk about the whiskey.
Yes.
So
put together a history.
Yeah, you get to sniffing and a tasting.
I get to sniff and taste.
Yeah. And I'm going to talk about this Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond, but let's talk about the distillery at first. Located in downtown Louisville, Heaven Hill's Bernheim Distillery is the world's largest independent family-owned bourbon distillery. They produce 1,300 barrels a day and can produce 400,000 barrels annually. And they use the same traditional methods as they did in their very first plant, the Heaven Hill Springs Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky, which we'll get to that in a second of why they're not there anymore. But to start with the history of this distillery, we need to jump all the way back to 1935 when the distillery was founded by the Shapiro brothers. The original distillery was built on an acreage in Bardstown owned by a man named William Heavenhill. Now, according to Max Shapiro, one of the brothers, the story of how Mr. Heavenhill's name was divided into its current form of Heaven Space Hill, it was a typographical error made on the paperwork. They were told it would cost $10 to get it corrected. And remember, this was around the Depression. They were like, nah, it's fine. Let's keep it as is. The wood frame distillery used coal to heat their boiler, which cooked its meshes and sent steam through an all-copper column still. The first barrels were filled on December 13th, 1935, where they remained for 4 years and were released as Old Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond Bourbon. Now, at the very beginning, members of the Jim Beam bourbon-making family oversaw the distillation process. In 1935, Joe and Harry Beam brought their knowledge to help get them started, and in 1946, Ed Shapiro decided to assign Earl Beam to the job of Heaven Hill Master Distiller. He was there for 29 years, which is something I read about in Fred No's book that I read. And he really helped kind of shape Heaven Hill to what it is now. He retired in 1975, and his son, Parker Beam, took over. So the Beam's very heavily involved in Heaven Hill Distillery. He spent the next several decades creating other whiskeys we've talked about, such as Elijah Craig and single barrel and long-aged releases of Evan Williams. If you've listened to us before, you know I love some Evan Williams Bottle and Bond. Yep. In 1996, though, the distillery faced a huge setback. A cold front raced across central Kentucky early in the morning and brought on big storms. Suddenly, an employee was reporting smoke coming from the Warehouse 1. Distillery supervisor Charlie Downs and Parker Beam drove to the warehouse and immediately ordered an evacuation. By the time they got everything turned off, there was a river of flaming whiskey spilling everywhere, including over the highway and toward the distillery. That would be a sight to see, a river of flaming whiskey. Sad, but it would be something to see. Mm-hmm. Then all these winds, 70-mile-an-hour winds picked up, and pretty soon some of the rick houses were on fire. Firefighters were doing their best to stop the fire, but they could barely keep the ones that weren't on fire. They could barely keep them cool because just the heat was just so much. And then barrels began exploding, which sent flames spreading. And by evening of that day, the distillery and 7 rick houses were destroyed or still on fire. It's assumed that lightning caused this, but it was never confirmed. Nobody saw a lightning strike. Nobody saw what caused it.
But it happened during the storm.
But it did happen during the storm. That's why that's assumed. They ended up losing 92,000 barrels. I thought this was interesting. They called all the workers in. Most of them, they already did the math. They saw the damage. They knew they were getting fired. But they were told nobody would lose their job. And I think that's really cool that they honored their workers. They know, hey, you're really important. We're not going to leave you to hang and dry out, you know. And this is what I love about whiskey. It brings people together. We talk about that all the time. Over the next few days, Shapiro took calls from competitors who could have just said, hey, now we don't got to compete with them. But he took calls from competitors asking what they could do to help the distillery stay on its feet, which included helping Heaven Hill produce its signature mash bill to be aged in their own barrels and rick houses. And over the next several years, multiple companies would help Heaven Hill distill its spirits. I think that's really cool because in a dog-eat-dog world, it would have been very easy to be like, that sucks, you know, but they came together. The other big mishap here or big deal was in order to make the bourbon, they needed their Heaven Hill yeast. The entire supply of yeast was a recipe that had been handed down for generations and fermented the first back in 1935.
Wow.
And guess where it was kept? The distillery, which had just been badly burned, but it was not completely destroyed. So Downs and Beam rented a bucket lift to see if they could get to the 5th floor yeast refrigerator, and they were able to. And they opened it up and boom, sure enough, there it was, unharmed and even still cold. This is, you know, refrigerators these days would not have done this. They don't build them like they used to, people. It was still cold. In 1999, they bought their current distillery in Bernheim from Distillers United because they had weighed like, do we rebuild? Do we buy a different distillery? The Distillers United one happened to come to sale, and they bought it, remodeled it to fit their needs. and they've been growing and growing their output since then. So let's talk about what we're drinking today, which is the Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond. Now, Heaven Hill makes a lot of whiskey, including Henry McKenna, Bernheim Original, Rittenhouse Rye, which we've tasted, reviewed on the show, Larceny, Old Fitzgerald, Pikesville Rye, Elijah Craig, Evan Williams, Mellow Corn, which I keep hearing a lot about. We need to get that sometime. And Heaven Hill products such as the Bottle and Bond. The Bottle and Bond pays tribute to the earliest days of the distillery history, which back in 1939, they released their first Bottle and Bond, like we said. And that's why they continue to make this. It's still kind of the same recipe and everything and it meets the exact standards set forth in the Bottle and Bond Act in 1897. The only difference is they used to age at 4 years. Now they age at 7. This did just win double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Yeah,
Bottle and Bond.
The Bottle and Bond did. So let's do a little tasting notes. Have you smelled and tasted?
I smelled corn. It's interesting because normally like a bourbon.
I smell caramel.
I know. Normally I smell caramelish
and vanilla
stuff.
Because I said mellow corn?
No, this was before. I was trying to, and it doesn't taste sweet to me. I think something's off. I have horrible allergies right now. I've taken.
Maybe that's why.
I think so. I woke up so stuffy, and I've taken allergy medicine today and everything, but I still feel, I don't know, just bothered by allergies after spending all weekend outside in the heat.
And we did spend a lot of time in the heat yesterday. I get caramel and vanilla. I don't know. I don't get a lot of corn, but
this burned my lips when I first. It's still burning my lips.
Are they chapped?
I think they're sunburnt.
Okay. It does have some heat.
It does. It packs some heat. I think my tasters are off.
Yeah.
I do. I get.
So we're relying on me.
I think so because I smell I just get corn off the smell. Like I smell the corn from the bourbon, and it has a more grainy taste to me. I think my tasters are off. I thought the old fashioned was really good, but now maybe it wasn't because my tasters are off. Maybe you didn't make it correctly.
Thanks. I was complimenting you, but maybe I'm taking it back now. No, I get caramel, and I
get zero caramel. That's why I don't think I'm tasting this correctly. Okay. I think
the texture is spot on. It's not light. It's not
no,
too
I
heavy.
Can tell like it has
it's a little on the heavy side. Do you think?
It's not watery.
No, it's not watery. A little heavier, but not in a bad way. I mean, if you swirl it around, you can see the legs, which is more of a wine term, I know, but you can still see it.
It's like still running down my glass from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's thick. It's a thick whiskey.
Thick. I get caramel, vanilla. You're not getting the right stuff. That's okay.
I'm not.
You'll have to do a review later.
Because I'm getting the grains and alcohol. I'm not getting the right taste. It doesn't taste like bourbon to me, which is why I think something's off with me. I think something's definitely off.
She said it, folks, not me. There is something off with you. No, I think it's really good. I like it. I can see why it wins a lot of awards. Just maybe not when you have allergies.
No, because it's even drinking hotter than 100 proof to me. And I know, I think we talked about this recently. I'm starting to like the higher than proof, 100. Yeah. And this drink's hotter to me than that. Like, I think something's off with me. So please disregard my review. My review is what I'm tasting, but it's not right.
You told your cousin that you liked like a 120 proof whiskey, and he about lost his shit.
He did.
Like, what?
Well, when you taste a lot of different whiskeys, you develop a palate for the good stuff.
Right. Yeah. I want to answer a couple questions before we get to our lock and dog bets. Serial asking, what are we hearing about Roma Dunze? Are they going to give Caleb a full plate this year? And he might have to swap out his Bajent rookies for Caleb. I definitely would do that. I don't think Special Agent Bajent is going to have much effect. I think the Caleb Williams Roma Dunze connection is going to be the strongest on the team. I know they have Keenan Allen.
They're going to have the chemistry and.
Yeah, they're both the young guys in the room. We saw day one before they were even drafted together. They were tweeting at each other and stuff. I mean, I think these are guys that are going to work well together. They're excited to work together. And don't forget Roma Dunze. led the NCAA in 20-plus yard passes. He's a field stretcher. I think he's going to do very well. And then Hunter asking if Eric All from tight end U, Iowa, barely. He transferred and was barely there. But I'll give you, he was Iowa tight end. Does he have any value this year? I don't think this year. But dynasty-wise, I have been picking him up here and there. I think he could be a guy that if he stays healthy, that's been his biggest thing in college was health. So I think if he stays healthy, he could make an impact for sure. You gotta love dynasty. Dynasty for sure. You gotta love a good tight end from Iowa.
Well, tight end that's where it's at.
For sure. Should we talk about our best bets?
Yes. I'm gonna give you my lock.
All right.
Okay. And I feel like my lock is one of the easiest bets on the board.
Okay.
Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC North is currently at plus 130. And the Bengals are right behind them, but I don't think the Bengals are as good as I think the Ravens will be and win the division again.
I like that. I agree with it too. For me, it goes Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns. That's how I think the division goes. So, and that kind of goes along with my lock, the Browns being at the bottom, people going, how dare you? Sorry to my Cleveland Brown fan coworkers who we have several, or I have several, not you.
I do too.
Oh yeah, you do too. That live in Cleveland. They like the Browns, but my lock is Cleveland Browns to miss the playoffs. Yes, their defense is good, but I think the offense is in trouble. Watson's declining. Chubb may not open the season healthy, and I just think they're a mess.
They've got some cleaning up to do.
They do. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if they finish last in their division, and if they do that, they don't make the playoffs. You only pay the juice if you lose, as Cody Z would say. Cleveland Browns to miss the playoffs at minus 185. I know it's juiced, but I feel good about it.
All right.
Dog bets?
Yeah. Woof. I'm going to give out a little defensive bet for my dog. Defensive player of the year. He's currently the favorite, but still a plus 550 bet. TJ Watt to win defensive player of the year.
Who is a dog.
And listen, he has health concerns, but when he's on the field, he is one of the best edge rushers in the league.
Yeah.
So if the Steelers struggle on offense, their defense will be on the field a lot, which means more opportunities for Watt.
Yeah. And relating that to fantasy football, if you're in an IDP league, you want to have TJ Watt. One of our keeper league, or a keeper league that I was in, used to have an IDP spot, just one of them. And I had TJ Watt, I remember, and he was only healthy for half the year, and he still finished in top 5 for fantasy points, even though he only played half the season. I like that bet. I definitely think if he's healthy, it's his to lose for sure. My dog bet's going to seem a little crazy, but give me the most regular season rushing touchdowns to be Derrick Henry. This Ravens team, as we said, likes to run the ball. I think they're going to be better than the Tennessee teams he's played with. And I think they brought him in to just smash the ball at the goal line. He's the second favorite right now, but still at plus 650. Give me Henry to have something right around the 18 rushing touchdowns. He had the most in 2019 with 16 and 2020 with 17. Other recent winners, Jonathan Taylor won it in 2021 with 18. Your guy, Jamal Williams, won it in 2022 with 17. And last year it was Raheem Mostert with 18. Jamal Williams definitely isn't getting back there. I don't think Raheem Mostert is.
He was exciting for me for that year.
But that was it.
But he's still going to be my guy because he saved me a lot.
He was good. Jonathan Taylor, he could have a really good year, but I think Derrick Henry's going to have more touchdowns because I think Anthony Richardson will also run a lot. The favorite right now is Christian McCaffrey, and I love Christian McCaffrey, but I don't think he's going to lead the league in rushing touchdowns. He's such a dual threat guy that they get him involved even from the 5-yard line in those swing passes, and he gets the passing touchdown. So I don't think he's getting 18. I think Derrick Henry will lead the league plus 650. Book it. Book it.
You heard it.
Do you have anything else to add on the AFC North, on the whiskey, on the bets? Anything?
No, we keep talking about our rankings, which we're going to bring out, but I really think that a lot can change. I like to do mine closer.
I also think a lot can change.
Closer to
Life lessons from Miranda.
All right. Shut up. What's wrong with you? Don't be dissing me.
All right. Anyways, what were you saying?
You're sleeping outside on the recliner. You've been demoted from the couch. It's
At least the
outside.
weather's nice.
It's gonna rain tonight.
Okay. I gotta get to the CFL game on
Okay,
the podcast.
you're like,
Do you have
shut
anything
up.
to add?
I don't remember what I was saying before that.
A lot can change in your lineups.
Oh, like
or
I
your
really want to.
rankings.
I need to reassess like rankings once we make it through, finish out our division previews, and then
Yes.
get a little bit closer.
Which, just to preview, I mean, next or Thursday, this
Mhm.
Thursday, we have Sports Nonsense and Whiskey joining us to talk about the AFC West. I had to think there. AFC West.
Mhm.
Next week, we have Dylan Carney, distiller from Savage and
I'm
Cook.
very excited. It'll be our first live distiller interview. And I mean, we've had Dylan on the show. He's welcome on our show anytime. And we're excited to have him again.
He's awesome, dude. Awesome
yes.
dude. And he makes some great whiskey.
Absolutely. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So tune in then so you can ask him some questions because he's going to be answering some questions from the chat. Talking about their new offerings that they have, some bottled and bond
They're doing
products.
Some great things over there at Savage and Cook.
They are very exciting stuff for them. And then the week after that, so that would be like July 24th, 25th, we're going to have a special guest talking a little IFL bets because the playoffs are coming up and he knows his IFL and we don't. So he's going to be schooling us on the indoor football league, which I know Colby Dant was saying football is not meant to be played outdoors. Miranda, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No.
My old fashioned is gone. Going once, going twice.
Sold.